Hello, hello. It's been another minute. Hope everyone is doing well. We are in September. Okay, so it's September 7th, technically. It is still a Venus night, Friday night, and it is a Jupiter hour, 1:36 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. But I just wanted to mention a couple things that stood out. There's some pretty dynamic energies going on, and it's all orchestrated in our favor. So, despite what is being shown to us on the world stage, on the screens, the debates and whatever chaos is out there, everything is in divine order, like as chaotic as it seems, and with as many people passing away and dying and people's lives being sacrificed, innocent lives being sacrificed, we have to trust that everything is in its divine order. Like there's a big contrast happening so that the groups who have been complacent or just have trusted the authorities or the systems that have been in place for so long, the conflict that is happening is contributing to the contrast in order for those of us who have been complacent or in a trance to kind of trigger us and wake up. It can be very jarring. There is a lot of adjusting to, but we have to remember and practice those grounding techniques, which is, that's what Saturn in Pisces is all about. He's been there for a year now and will be there for another year before Saturn moves into Pisces. So it'll be like springtime of next year. It'll retrograde back into Pisces on and off, and then it will re-enter Aries with Neptune, and that's when we will truly begin a brand new era of being. Like hazy, like Pisces has been like this hazy, foggy, like space of illusion, and you can't tell what's real and what's not. A lot of glamour, but we have to keep in mind that the planets that are in motion right now are in such beautiful orchestration that we have to just trust in what is happening. So anytime like there's some sort of feeling of fear, like Mars just entered Cancer, so there's going to be a lot more emotionality in the air, and Mars is going to be in Cancer for a while because of the retrograde that will take place in, oh man, do I have that one? Mars is going to retrograde December 6th. So December 6th, it will be in Leo, but it'll return to Cancer. It'll re-enter Cancer January 6th, and it'll be there for a few months. So Mars will retrograde December 6th, and it'll be in Leo when it retrogrades. It'll re-enter Cancer January 6th. It'll go back to 17 degrees of Cancer. So it'll transit over the degrees of 29 back to 17. And so there's going to be a lot of aspects made from Cancer. Like in a couple of days, actually, Mars is going to square the nodes, the North and South node. And the T-square between the North and South node and Aries and Libra is going to really trigger the Capricorn Cancer axis, which is connected to the mother and father, the authorities, and the family. Like people who are taken care of and people who support, who provide. And so, and Mars is the ruler of Aries, and Aries is the North node. So we're going to come to a crossroads when it comes to really breaking away from the securities that we've been used to, like our families even. This can be a major turning point for a lot of long-term relationships. I mean, jobs for sure, partnerships, even siblings. I mean, these are major points of tension when, especially Mars squares the nodes, and then with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, it's going to amplify that. And it's at 29 degrees, which 29 degrees is an anaretic degree, which at the last degree of any zodiac, it's going to have this extreme energy. And so in the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn again is connected to authorities, people who provide, or entities or systems that provide, build wealth. It's considered to be, the goat who like is able to climb mountains to get to the top. And so this energy of Capricorn where, the shadow sides of Capricorn show up towards the end of the sign. So, you kind of like build up to, you learn all these skills of Capricorn, and then by the end of the sign, by the time you get to 29 degrees, you've learned some of the not so integrous sides, like the shadow sides of Capricorn, which we have come to witness have been like colonialism, land grabs, exploitation of resources. Like Capricorn wants to, it's kind of like a hoarding energy where it wants to build wealth and like stack bills and provide, but on the shadow side there can be a hoarding factor or greed where there's like no limit to what authorities in power will do to make sure that they are continuing to like feed themselves, like filling their pockets. I mean, it's definitely related to that 1% of the elite. But at 29 degrees, it's also connected to completions and finishing those energies and closures. And this can be like a eye-opening experience that we're all going through, especially with Mercury having just been retrograde. It's still in shadow. It's in the sign of Leo at the moment, so there's a lot of information and shocking stories, especially with Mercury just squaring Uranus in Taurus, that can come up. A lot of information can come up that we can be like completely sideswiped by, like Taylor Swift and whoever the football player is. Like, that was a whole sham. It was a business deal, and it was, like they both made millions of dollars, and people fell for it. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to continue seeing as time goes on. Like, Mercury is at 27 degrees at the moment. It's going to re-enter Virgo in a couple of days, I think on the 8th, so tomorrow actually. So when it re-enters Virgo, we could start hearing news about health-related things. And we've already, some of us have already come across some information about certain medications that have been proven to not turn out how they said it would, or there was like data that was withheld. I believe Kansas is actually suing one of those companies that was very made a lot of money over the past handful of years. Begins with a PF, and yeah, there's several states. Kansas is suing them, and there's a handful of other states that are suing them as well for, I think it's like a breach of trust, or I mean, it's basically perjury. Like, they straight up lied about the data that they said was safe for women to take even during pregnancy, even though like the data like is clearly saying that it is directly correlated with the death of their babies. Like, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of angry people. Mars squares the nodes in about a week or so. So around September, right before the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. So September 17th is when the lunar eclipse is, and that's when Mars will be at 7 degrees, and the nodes will be at 6 degrees Aries and Libra. And so this is going to be an illumination. But what was I saying before? There's already a lot of information coming out that is proving to be deceitful. Like there's a lot of news that's coming out that is proving to be devious, and it can definitely make us feel like we have been deceived. There's a lot of fraud that has been in the works for generations now, and more of this information is going to come out, and the movement that is going to fuel the collective is this kind of rage, and the emotions can range from anger, grief, guilt, panic, shame, envy, and all this is going to be brewing as information comes to light. And one way to kind of counteract that, like, it's going to be a natural reaction to have all these emotions, but we do not want to stay steeped in that feeling. We want to like move through it and past it, and understand that there is an order to this chaos. Like, there is this contrast that we are experiencing to trigger certain group to wake up. And so this is in divine order. So we have to remind ourselves that, I trust the path that I am on. No matter what your decision has been in regard to medical diagnoses or recommendations, or whatever the decision was, we have to trust that it was meant to put us on a certain path for us to experience specific things that we are meant to experience. It's not something for us to really fully understand until much later. We just have to trust that everything happens for a reason, as cliche as it is. And right now there's a perspective of seeing everything as a show, because things have been playing out just like clockwork almost, where we've seen these things before. We've, like, the shenanigans, the plays are repeating themselves. So that is a perspective that we can take to kind of work through this, is see this circus for what it is, because we are moving into, like, all these planets are at like the last degrees of their signs. So, like, bringing it back to, okay, now, so it's like September 7th, and we're going to have a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. So the moon will be in Pisces at 25 degrees and 40 minutes. The sun will be in Virgo at 25 degrees and 40 minutes. And so these are both yin signs, feminine. And then we have Pluto in Capricorn, which is also another feminine sign in Capricorn. Pluto's retrograde. And then it is trying to Uranus in Taurus at 27 degrees, which is also retrograde, which is also a feminine sign. And so these earth signs, Capricorn and Taurus, can show us, like, tangibly how these changes are taking place. And I feel like Uranus is the, god of, like, what is it, outer space? God of the beyond. Pluto is the god of the underworld. Neptune is the god of the sea, and Uranus is the god of the skies, or the heavens. And so it's like beyond limitations. It's the symbolism, sudden change, innovation, and the breaking of old structures. So Neptune is the god of the seas, and it rules, like, emotional currents, the subconscious, fluidity, also dreams, intuition, spirituality, and the disillusion of boundaries. And it can also correlate to escapism, like just confusion, deception. It can be very imaginative. Like, there's a lot of different ways that Neptune can show up. It's a beautiful energy. It's very ethereal. It's when you look at a waterfall and there's a rainbow coming off of the waterfall, and all this mist is just kind of like, you can't tell if it's really there or not, and, like, depending on the amount of sun that's shining, it just really is nebulous. And that is Neptune. It's like the imagination, and it's also just this oneness and unconditional acceptance. And so with the full moon on the 17th, this is really kind of getting us out of our mundane, kind of like chopping wood, carrying water kind of energy. Like, we were being lifted out of that. And Uranus being in a trine to Pluto is like the assist to really support that transformation. Like, Pluto is really digging in to find what is not serving us. Like, in the sign of Capricorn, it's really excavating those executives that have been abusing the power. And we're going to really see the veil lift, and like we'll see what has been hiding under the veil, under the curtain. It behooves us to keep those like spiritual grounding practices in play, like whether we are, you know, knitting or like keeping, we can definitely like do our meditation and ground and do yoga and, you know, work out, burn that energy off, burn any restlessness off, but we want to keep the access to information or and any kind of stressful news or like especially if you can't tell, like just turn the news off, like cancel your cable, you know, like CNN and all those news stations are bad for your health, so we want to turn those off. If it happens to be on the news, like we can look at it as entertainment, because everything that's being played out is designed to serve as as actors. They're players. They are players in this play, and we have to look at it like that and understand like we only have control of what is in front of us. You know, we can appreciate the people and the pets and the food and, you know, the things that we have in front of us that we have earned, and understand that the systems that have been in play are going to crumble. Like Pluto and Capricorn only happens every 250 years, and so the crumbling of these systems, like the uprooting of these systems, is not going to happen again in our lifetime. And so we have to trust that we are not going to have to revisit these systems of corruption. Like they're going down. They're going down. And that doesn't mean like act irresponsibly and like, you know, there's not even any point in going buck wild and like looting or anything like that. Like there's no point of that. We are collectively going in another direction, and we're kind of being carried by this kite, the kite of the full moon in Pisces, with Uranus and Pluto in Earth signs, and Neptune in Pisces at the apex of the minor grand trine, and then the Sun in Virgo at the tail of the kite. And so we're letting go of those overly analytical, like to the T kind of chop wood carry fire tendencies. Like we're more cleaning our vessel, like just purifying our thoughts, you know, like our bodies, our systems. We're like getting rid of what no longer serves us. And so we definitely have a lot of trust to put into these configurations. We can think of this as like a divine force, as like a divine GPS that is kind of escorting us through these energies, and we have to be open to whatever comes. We have to let go of anything that we have been attached to, and be willing to understand that it's obsolete, and there are new systems forming as we are letting go of the old systems. So it is like a redefinition of direction. It can feel very unstable, like there's a lot of adjustment to get used to. We have to actually like really trust in the unknown. I mean, we won't know what our footing is telling us. Like we are like trying to feel for like some sort of stability, but we're being asked to really kind of free fall, like trust fall into the universe, and strengthen your intuition so you are able to like detect any bullshit that is being thrown at you, whether it's from, you know, your boss, your spouse, your children, you know, your neighbors, like your whoever you might be in some sort of disagreement or conflict with. Like this is another reason why we want to clean our space, clean our system, our body, so that we don't have any kind of blockages that are deterring us from really thinking clearly. And this Pluto in Capricorn, so the US Pluto is at 27 degrees, and the transiting Pluto is at 29 degrees, and so it's still within a couple of degrees, and really just making sure that it's wiping clean of all of the toxicity in in the governments, in the judicial system, all the courts, you know, the federal systems. So there's going to be a big like restructuring. So we want to kind of let go of any programs and systems that we have been a part of, that we've been dependent on, and understand that, you know, this is a win for us. Like it may feel very destabilizing, but this is pushing us in a direction that will ensure true sovereignty. Like the Declaration of Independence will probably be rewritten, actually. Like it's time for a revision to reflect the current changes, like the current climate. Like there's a whole new awakening. Like it's a awakening, is a reckoning. You know, it's all of those things. And the Neptune at 20, at like the last degrees, I think currently it's at 28 degrees retrograde. Neptune in Pisces can be seen as invisible threats. I mean, it's definitely spirituality. There's a lot of us that will be like coming into this new connected space with spirituality, so we can, you know, everybody's vibration frequency can be elevated. We can like levitate. Like I consider this as like a spiritual elevation, but at the same time, like on the shadow side, there are invisible threats also at play, and that can be, you know, like viruses or invisible, like airborne kind of threats to your immune system. So that's like another reason to avoid those things that will lower your immune system. Like by lower your immune system, I mean like block those nutrients. Cakes and pizzas and, you know, those processed carbs deter the absorption of nutrients. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of our body physically and spiritually. With Neptune at 29 degrees, this is also this is the last degree of the zodiac. Like Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and so before it moves into Aries, we're like letting go of a lot of beliefs, and there's a dissolving of relationships, like everything. It's kind of like the death of the ego, like the death of who we once thought we were, or who we were programmed to believe we were. And so we have to go through this like grieving process, and that's what the end of Pisces is all about, is accepting the death of certain ideas, accepting the death of, you know, certain entities and beliefs, and, you know, like a way of being. Like we're moving on to this new era, so we have to like let go of a lot of programming, like material things and ideas and emotions as well, like loves. And a lot of forgiveness is going to be in these last degrees of Pisces, like forgiveness, you know, whether you're letting go of a love or you're letting go of resentment. You know, like there's a lot of emotion in water signs, and especially in Pisces. And with Mars in the sign of Cancer, which is another water sign, there's going to be a lot of triggers that will kind of serve as an impetus to release these heavy emotions. So there's like this accepting of grief, letting go of the past, shedding layers of programming. And not to jump too far ahead, but with like Mars in Cancer, it's going to be an emotional energy. Like Cancer is all about the family, and with Mars in Cancer, there's going to be this urge to defend your security, your family. And October 28th, there's going to be this trine with Neptune in Pisces, and the moon will be in Virgo at 25 degrees. Uranus will be in Taurus at 26, Pluto in Cap at 29, so October 28th. And then Mercury will be in Scorpio at 22 degrees. So I kind of see this as like a major release with Scorpio. I mean, with Mercury and Scorpio, this trine to Mars and Neptune is like the communication of how we are really feeling, and accepting the situation for what it is. Like it's a moon in Virgo. We're thinking practically, like we're feeling very like kind of no nonsense. We can be over like ruminating about the situation at hand. But Uranus in the sign of Taurus is making contact with Mars, Neptune, the Moon, and Pluto. And Pluto's that transformative energy, which will allow us to really like peel that band-aid off and accept things for what they are, with Neptune in the mix. And Mars will also be squaring Juno in Libra, so that will create this like T-square with Pluto and Mars and Juno. And Juno is the asteroid of marriage, and I consider Juno to be like more than just marriage, but like partnerships, like the marriage manager. And so it's kind of like the energy of how you kind of make these there's like these unspoken agreements, or like the way you collaborate, and it's in the sign of Libra. And you know, Libra will still be where our south node is, so with a square to Libra from Mars, there could be the disagreement or crisis that comes up with maybe your company that you work with. So Juno can represent more than just marriage. It can be like anybody that you're in partnership with as far as work, or yeah, it could be anything that you're in a partnership with. And the full moon lunar eclipse on the 17th in Pisces is kind of like a I mean, it's a lunar eclipse because it's within 17 degrees of the nodes of the nodes, and the north node is in Aries, and it'll be at 6 degrees Aries. And so this is kind of like a preview to the nodes shifting into Pisces and Virgo. So the nodes move backwards, and so it's nearing the end of Aries, which is actually the beginning, like to the 0 degree of Aries, and come January 11th it will enter Pisces at 29 degrees. And so this full moon in Pisces is kind of like a heads up, like a little, you know, preview. What are those, like when it's like part 2 sequel? So this is the prequel to the sequel. So this full moon in Pisces on the 17th, because it's in Pisces and the nodes are shifting into Pisces and Virgo in January, we can think of it as the prequel to the sequel of the nodes shifting, if that makes sense. So the nodes will shift January 11th, and then the next day Mars will trine Neptune, and then the Sun in Capricorn will trine Uranus and Taurus. Like January 11th and 12th should be an exciting time. And Pluto will already be in Aquarius by this time, so I feel like that'll be like this celebration. It feels like a celebration. And Jupiter will still be in Gemini, and Jupiter is going to be squaring this full moon. Jupiter will be at 20 degrees, so it'll be like within 5-6 degrees of the full moon. But that can be the feeling of, you know, like, is this really happening? You know, like, we could be trying to look for any sort of validation that contradicts what is happening. You know, like there could be that feeling where, you know, is it like we're doubting, like, is it too good to be true kind of thing. And Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces as well as Sagittarius, but we want to, you know, like Jupiter is also a very optimistic sign, so we want to keep that vibe up and not get sucked into any kind of doom, like doomer energy. Yeah, there's this meme that I came across. Life is fucking electric, bro. Like, don't fall for the doomer shit. That's for losers and normies scared of their own shadows. Walk around like God sent you and smile at everyone you see. Spread light in abundance. Build things and take chances. This is the best time in history. And yeah, we are definitely experiencing, witnessing, and contributing to this major shift in the collective consciousness. You know, Neptune in Pisces is connected to the collective consciousness, and we all have the energy of being these conscious co-creators. We have the power and the ability to create consciously rather than unconsciously. Like we have been unconsciously co-creating, and now that we are aware of our power, we can take our emotions into our own hands instead of being told how to feel, being told like what to be afraid of. Like fear has been used as a tool and a weapon actually to keep us creating a certain reality that only benefits a certain group so that they have the upper hand. And so now that we are aware that we have the power to consciously co-create our own reality, then we need to do that and stop giving our attention and power and energy away to like what's being thrown in our face and telling us like how to feel and what to be afraid of, and like being given all these conveniences that really end up only blocking our creativity. So now that we know that, now that we know better, we can do better. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that was helpful. And thank you so much again for listening. 222 at the moment. So yeah, if you are interested in seeing how these energies are affecting your chart, like this full moon on the 17th is hitting my sun Mercury within 3 degrees. I mean, within 3 minutes. My Mercury is at 25 degrees and 37 minutes. 25 degrees and 34 minutes is my sun, and 25 degrees and 39 minutes is my Mercury. Oh my god. If anybody would like to share their insight on how this may play out, I'm definitely open. I'm open to the unknown as well. So definitely trusting and hoping for the best. And yes, hopefully that made sense. So yes, thank you again for listening, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care. Oh, and there is actually going to be another video on the quarter moon coming up on the 10th. So the moon will be in Sagittarius and the sun will be in Virgo, and I'll be doing a collaboration with a beautiful, wonderful healer, Shaw woman. She's from the Bahamas. She lives in Nassau, which is one of the amazing places that I first traveled to internationally when I was, gosh, back in my early 20s. So I'm excited to share information with her, and we're going to be, like, we've been talking for the past couple, I don't know, like month or so, and we just like get into these like hour-long, like 2-3 hours. I think the first time we spoke on the phone, it was like a face-to-face, not face, WhatsApp, and it was like 3 hours long. But it was lit. I mean, she has a lot of herbal knowledge, and I believe she has certifications. We were talking about the certification, but she's been doing this for 17 years. So she has a lot of knowledge on crystals and herbs, and is able to like access like the other worlds and speak to her guides. And so we're going to come together, and what she's sharing and what I'm sharing, like what we've already talked about, has been in such alignment, and it's validated with the astrology. So it's really exciting, and we're going to talk more about the quarter moon energies and how to work with those. And she has a lot of like grounded recommendations as well. So look out for that, and yeah, hope to see you there, and thanks again for listening. Take care.